You're listening to a Listen Frederick podcast. Local podcasts, live radio. It's Listen Frederick.
And now, your hosts of Steeples and Peoples podcast to tell you about all things Frederick County, Maryland. Here's Mark and Terry Meriday.
If you're going to have a career or plan to work after you retire, at least make it something you thoroughly love to enjoy. And if you're really lucky, a loved one will be able to join you on your next chapter of life. Hey, that would be great. The journey for Steeples and Peoples podcast this week brings us to Mazzaroth Vineyard in Middletown, Maryland. I'd love to tell you we sat down with co-owner Garry Cohen and had a discussion, but it was a bit more than that. His energy for what he and his wife put into the vineyard is glaring, and we are looking forward to sharing with everyone the passion and non-stop level of the pursuit of the best wine that you will ever taste. Welcome everyone to this episode of the Steeples and Peoples podcast. We are sitting in the rolling hills of Middletown, Maryland, with one of the more exquisite locations that you could possibly think of. Terry, I love this stuff that we get to have from this location. We've seen them around. We've talked to them before. They don't realize it, but, well, tell everybody where we are today.
We are with Garry Cohen at Mazzaroth Vineyard. Out here in Middletown, like you said, spectacular views. Garry, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So you're owner. Can you tell us a little bit else about what you do here? I know you're managing the grapes mostly, right?
Yeah, my wife and I, along with our children, we started this business about 12 years ago. We're owners, operators. We do it all. It's vertically integrated. Grow the grapes, make the wine, bottle the wine. Everything is done on site here, estate. She's the majority owner, of course, and I just listen to what she says. But
as it should be.
But yeah, I'm basically a winemaker, grape grower.
Yeah.
Look, Garry, happy wife, happy life.
That's right.
My wife, if she's happy, then I have the opportunity to be happy.
Yeah, true.
She's quite happy, I think.
So you haven't been doing this your whole life. This is just kind of came about. But like, who were you and your wife before Mazzaroth?
I was an air traffic controller and then moved up in operations in the Federal Aviation Administration. Did that job for about 30 years. Forced retirement at 56, so I'd like to stay busy. Didn't know what I wanted to do next. And like a lightning bolt, it hit me one day about 20 or so years ago that this is what we wanted to do. And we built the bridge and we started from scratch. Wow. My wife was a speech therapist. She worked for the Frederick County school system, retired about 4 years ago.
Wow,
so what got you started with the wine then? Was it because you like to drink the wine and you're like, hey, let me start the...
You know, we always enjoyed wine. It's our beverage of choice. And the kids were away at camp, and we were able to get away for a couple of days, went up to the Finger Lakes, and it was the end of the day, and we're sipping some wine at a winery. And it hit us. It hit me. And my wife went along with the ride. It's just that let's learn how to make wine, and let's plant a vineyard and start a winery. And
wow.
It was a dream that we fulfilled.
But did you start out just like we were talking about Joe and Nina, how they have, they can just make it in their basement for themselves, a home winery. Did you start out like that? Or did you like,
no, exactly.
We're selling it,
We came back from that trip, and one of my wife's very smart friends said, before you start planting those vines, why don't you learn how to make wine? Which I thought was a great idea. So truly, and we started making wine about 10 to 12 years before we started the winery. So I got most of the winemaking kinks out, though. There's always things to learn. And that's what started us on the process, just making 5-gallon batches. And now I'm a home winemaker on steroids.
You had the cart before the horse, but then you switched that around real good. Great.
So, the name.
When I was a teenager, I worked at the Maryland Science Center in Baltimore and did star shows. I did the planetarium shows there, and I love astronomy. And I was looking for an astronomical name, and we just couldn't figure it out. A friend of mine's reading the book of Job. About 3/4 of the way through the book, God and Job are having a conversation. And he says, Job, you're doing things out of season. To know when to harvest, when to plant, you should look at the Mazzaroth, which is Aramaic, and it's meant to mean the zodiac.
Yeah.
And if you look at our label, it is very astronomical in appearance.
Mm-hmm. I liked your mission, or I guess it was just about you. You're talking about the group of stars. But you you'll achieve harmony if you, the sun, the soil, the rain, and the vines, like you all work together, it says.
Absolutely.
I love that.
We are uncommon. There's a few other wineries in the state that also will not use glyphosate Roundup in the vineyard underneath the vines. If you look under our vines, you'll see grass. And the reason I'm highlighting this is that we really try to work with nature and keep our processes as organic as possible. We're not an organic winery. I don't know anybody that is, but we really try to listen to what nature is telling us when we're out there. If I can expand on that, we're starting to get spotted lanternfly out here. And it's suggested that we should plant milkweed, which is great for the monarch butterflies. And planting milkweed, we believe, is going to kill the spotted lanternfly because it has a latex sap. So it's an organic way of trying to rid yourself of the
Get
troubles
rid of the
yeast.
Wow.
So again, we try to, everything works together. It's the terroir, it's the sun, the soil.
So is this a house you like raised your kids in and you've been in for a while?
Actually,
Because
no.
I know that you like looked at the soil, like you just have this beautiful house and you had to do stuff with the soil to learn to grow grapes. So
I joined the Maryland Grape Growers Association many years ago when we started making wine before we were a winery. And they were very helpful and had workshops on what you should be looking for to have the right conditions to grow grapes. And you need elevation, you need slope, you need clear, you can't have it forested. So you don't want shade, and you want good depth to groundwater, and all these variables that you're looking for. We looked for 3 years for the right house and the right piece of land before we moved up here, and we found it. And we lived in Frederick for the first 18 years that we lived in Frederick County. It took us 3 years to find it, and then we've been up here now for 12 years.
Is that part of the reason so many vineyards are on like a hillside?
Absolutely.
Because
Sure.
So
That makes sense.
Vines need only about 20 inches of rain a year. We get over 40. So because of that, we dry farm, and the water bleeds much faster on the hillside. So in my opinion, you're going to find better tasting fruit on vineyards that are on slopier soil.
That's interesting. Let's get into the wine then, okay? Well, not per se, but tell us about the different varieties you have, things like that.
We grow about 60% of the fruit that we use, and we do, out of our just about 2-acre vineyard, we're able to produce about 450 cases of wine a year, which is about 5,500 bottles. But we bring in another 40% of fruit in from outside of our location here. What we grow on site are 5 varieties. We grow Albarino, which is a Iberian Peninsula Spanish-Portuguese variety. We grow Vidal Blanc, and 2 years ago we won Best White Wine in State off of our Vidal. Huge award for us. The 3 reds we grow are Tannat, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc. But we will also source other fruit, and so both white and red, so that we can have a more diverse portfolio for customers that are looking for different wines.
What's the number one seller?
For white, it's Vidal Blanc. For red, it's our Tannat. The Vidal is just, I love the grape to death. It's easy to grow. It's very plentiful. It's a heavy producer. And the fruits, you'll get pineapple and peach and pear and tangerine and mango. To me, it's an extraordinary wine.
And you could probably just taste all the flavors.
Oh my gosh. Well, after we finish this podcast, feel free to sample.
We would love to. We would never turn down wine. But so where can we find you? If say I want to buy a case, or can I come here? I know can you tell us about some of the restaurants and places that you're in?
Absolutely. So this is a Frederick podcast. So let's talk about the Frederick locations. In downtown Frederick, we're currently available at Vinifers. We're at Atomic 97, a beer and wine shop that just opened up on North Market Street.
Yeah,
Familiar
we've
with
been
it?
there. We
Yep.
met them. They're super nice people.
Nice peeps. And
Yep.
also we're at the Frederick Wine House. Outside of that, we're at Trout Liquors and Heritage Liquors here in Middletown. We're also available at Old Farm Liquors off of Yellow Springs Road.
Oh, I know where that is.
Restaurants, and then there's a couple more. The Middletown Shell gas station carries 5 lots, and that's wonderful. But also we're available at Fratelli's restaurant up on Market on North Market Street, carries our wine. They have both our Vidala and our dessert wine there. And then outside, where we have wines available down in Montgomery County, it's some restaurants and also in Baltimore City.
Nice. And speaking of Fratelli's, can you tell us a little bit about what the collab you're doing with them? Can you speak of that or not?
Absolutely.
Is it private? It's
No,
not a
at all.
secret.
So Fratelli's and I, we very much enjoy that restaurant, and we started.
Crab cakes?
Crab cakes are to die for there.
Yes,
no doubt.
they are.
But
for sure.
They were looking for a Pinot Grigio from us, and I was able to source some Pinot Grigio from a vineyard over on the Eastern Shore, just across the Bay Bridge, Kent Island. And we started making Pinot Grigio for them about 3 years ago. Actually, it was coincidental. It was yesterday. We went back there, and we were doing a taste test for the next variation, next harvest, and we decided it's going to be a Pinot Grigio with a little smidgen of Vidal Blanc that is blended together. It just gave it a more rounder flavor. But Fratelli's is a very, very happy place for us in our wines, and our wines sell quite well there.
Yeah, we've had it there.
And so if you go to Fratelli's and you look on their menu, it'll say their signature white blend. On the label on the back of it, it'll tell you that it's produced and bottled by Mazzaroth Vineyard in Middletown.
Oh, nice. Where can we do tastings?
You can do them here by appointment, and appointments are available on our website. We also have them available quite a few times a year. We're at the various liquor stores. But also, if you want to sample and buy, we participate in quite a few farmers markets up here. May I go through these?
Of course.
Yes, please.
On Tuesdays in season from April through October, we're at the Frederick YMCA. On Thursdays, we're at the Middletown Market. Every other Friday, we do the Brunswick Market in Brunswick, Maryland. On Saturday, we're down in Bethesda. And on Sundays, we are at the Frederick City Market on 300 block of North Market Street. So we do 5 markets a week in season. Slows down this time of year.
Yeah.
Again, to repeat, we do sampling and tastings here at the winery, but it's by appointment.
By appointment, sure.
So you want to get that word out so people kind of have an idea and they can come on out and
Absolutely.
sample. Yeah. Hey, club options. You guys have wine club here? How do we get it? Do we get a bottle a month? Can we get a case?
Too easy. The way we work it is very simple. If you buy 12 bottles of wine from us, then you're in our club. And at that point, everything will forever be 10% off. You will always be discounted. If you want more wine, we ask you to tell us what you want. We will ship to you, or we will deliver to you 4 bottles or more, where you can come here and pick it up. But we don't want to ship wine to people if that's not what they're looking for. So you will always get a discount, but there's no requirement to purchase a certain number of bottles per year to stay in the club.
Oh, that's nice. So we can buy a case, and then
you're
3
10%.
months later, I'll be call you up or make it hey, leave 2 bottles out for me. These are the next 2 I want to
We
buy.
also copy your tastings. For every case,
nice.
we'll copy it for 2 tastings, so you don't have to come back here to sample the wines. I've got to tell you this: of our direct sales to consumers, there's no less than 60 to 65% of our sales are to Case Club members at this point.
Oh, nice.
And we at various times our wines are selling out. What we'll end up doing is we'll close to new appointments and we'll just reserve our wine for our Case Club members. So you may have to wait 6 months to a year to get back in here for future appointments. It's just the way we work.
Do you actually track where you get your customers, like the bulk of them from? Like, you get it from this farmer's market, or do you get it from setting up at like the Frederick Fair? Because I know you guys are in there. Do you actually track where they come from then?
Not normally. We're so small.
They don't need,
I'm just curious.
No, that's a good question.
It would be great to follow that along, but we're only doing about 800 cases of wine a year. So for us, it's just not that important for what we're doing.
I was speaking of the, I'm sorry, I'm cutting everybody off. Speaking of the fair, I want to make sure you say about, or tell everybody that you were one of the judges. So of the wine.
I had my start many years ago with getting ribbons by participating as somebody that was entering their wines in the fair. So I've always had a soft spot for the Great Frederick Fair. The first time I entered a wine, I won best in class dry red wine for a Cabernet Sauvignon. And believe me, the grapes were really good. I had no idea about winemaking. Not that I'm much more educated now, but back then I didn't know anything I was doing. And I won best in show for that, or best in class.
Yeah.
About 6 years ago, one of the directors of the Frederick Fair, who helped me along my way, asked me if I would be willing to be the best in show judge. So there's 15 categories or so, and what the other judges will do is they'll determine the best in each category. And then I'll take the gold medal winners and then determine who's best in show. And I've been doing it for about 6 years now, and it's quite an honor and a privilege to be able to judge that. So
it's a lot of wine.
Had a lot of,
At least not drinking a glass of each.
It's really, I'm not. I'm
By the end, they all taste the same.
They're all gold medal winners. It's been a lot
ribbon
of fun
for you.
participating in it. It really is an honor to do that every year.
Yeah.
I very much enjoy it.
So have you peaked, or are you going to try and do something more with what you're doing?
In terms of volume or quality?
Just all the above.
I always want to get better at what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Sure.
I always want these wines to be better than the previous harvest, and you're only as good as your last season as a winemaker, truly. In terms of volume, I don't think we're getting any bigger. I don't have the space for it, nor do I have the time to produce any more wine than we are. We have room to put more vines in, but this is a happy spot for us. We know our wheelhouse, which is this 700 to 800 cases a year. It works for what we're trying to accomplish.
And on top of all that, you get to live a quality life without having to work probably nonstop.
It's more hours than you might think. Actually,
I'm sure it is.
From March through October, it's about 12 hours a day.
So
From November through February, it's about 6 to 8 hours a day.
Are your kids helping? You said your kid helped start, but you mean you don't have any employees? This is all family, right?
It's all family. The kids do assist, and they get their friends out here. I'll help.
Nice.
It's the most important time. The time where we need the most number of hands is at the harvest. And for our Case Club members, they can come up and assist us, and our kids bring their friends along also that are Case Club members.
So Maryland weather is not exactly the same every year. How is the weather? You're going to think of a year. When did you start, or when did you open and start bottling? 12?
The vines were planted in 2012. We became a winery in 2016. Our first vintage that we could bottle was in 2017. It was a small vintage that we released in 2018. So we've had 4 vintages. We've had 5 vintages that we've released. And the weather varies from year to year. 2018 was a very wet year. It was tough to make a good wine. 19 was significantly better, and then the last 3 years have progressively gotten better.
Good.
This one, 2023, was the best growing season in this area since 2009.
Oh, great.
And that's because we were in a drought, and we don't need so much water. And the sugar levels, which is an indication not just of how sweet the wines are, it'll be how much residual alcohol you'll have at the end, and also the boldness and the full flavorness of the grapes and the wine. The sugar levels this year were off the charts. It was extraordinary.
Good.
So look for the 23s as they start being released in the next 6 months to 2 years. They should. Everybody around here, I think, made spectacular wines. They should have anyway.
Wait, do you keep a little bit like of each year? Do you keep some for yourself?
Rhetorically speaking, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Absolutely. But our wines have a shelf life. We keep our sulfites pretty low on our whites, so they won't last more than about 2 years in bottle. So we're not holding on to older whites. But the reds, we have a vertical of each of the years that we started making wine since 2014.
How often do you tip back into, like, say, a 14 or 15 special occasion?
Yeah, for the kids especially. Right now, the ones that are tasting the best are the 17s and the 19s. They're the customers that bought the 2019s. I said you have to wait till 2023, and they're starting to crack them open right now. I'm talking about the Tannat.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. The 2020 is just starting to turn the corner for us. The 2020 Tannat. I had a sample of that the other day. The 21s are still a little bit aggressive to me, but other people love them at this point, but they're still going to improve in bottle.
When you go, you said you traveled to Italy, you've been there a number of times, to Portugal. I'm sure you drink wine there. Do you compare it to what you do? Do you try and find something in what you're tasting in those places that you can bring back with what you do in terms of your batches?
Actually, not at all. We rarely hit wineries when we're over there because this is our life.
Yeah,
sure.
I don't
Interesting.
I don't need to.
It's almost like a business.
Because we went to
trip
Italy.
But I will
First
tell
thing
you
we did was
this.
go to a winery.
I'm not a real big fan of Italian wines, except when I'm in Italy, because when you drink a local wine with the local food, it's symbiotic. It has this relationship that is unmatched. However, some people are not really that much of a fan of Maryland wines, but there's some really good Maryland wines out there. And if you pair our wines with the local beef or lamb or other vegetarian things like goat cheese, it's extraordinary how much better it tastes.
Wow.
So I'm not tasting, when I'm in Italy, I don't taste the Italian wines to see what I can do to make our wines taste like that, because I want our wines to taste the best that they can here. But I am really curious how it marries with the food that's over there.
Okay.
And how I can relate our wine marrying with the food that's grown around here. Can I expand on this a little bit?
Of course.
Sure.
A couple of years ago, there was a gal, she still makes goat cheese, and one of our wines was just a little bit too acidic for my liking, but a lot of people enjoyed it. However, it paired perfectly with goat cheese with chèvre, and she was selling chèvre at the Middletown Farmers Market next to me. And we would do samples. She would sample her goat cheese. I would say taste a little bit of wine with it.
Wow.
It was extraordinary. Her sales and my sales just
skyrocketed. What a great partnership.
Yeah, so so getting back to your original question, I am absolutely comparing the wines, but only to see how they pair with the local foods.
So you do use some knowledge of what you gain there. Yeah, of course you would. I mean, that only makes sense. No, you talked about a little collaboration with Fratelli's. You talked about like a little type of partnership there with the goat cheese and your wine. Do you have anything else in the works there that you do?
As a matter of fact, yes. We have 3 batches of brandy that we made with McClintock and distilling downtown. They're not yet ready to be released. We've done 4. 1 has been released. It sold out very quickly. There's 3 more in barrel there. They're in cognac barrels, and it takes about 4 to 5 years to get them to where they're going to be perfect. The oldest one in there is about 3 years old. So in a year or two, McClintock, when they say it's ready, they will be releasing our co-branded brandy.
Wow.
We also work with Pathfinder Distillery in Keysville, just south of Boonesboro, and they take our wood staves and they introduce it into their whiskeys over there in their daily driver. And the latest batch will actually be released this Sunday. We're having a release party between 1 and 5, and we'll be side-by-side tasting their whiskey with our 2021 tonight, where the staves came out of to make that whiskey. So we very much enjoy collaborating with other local craft beverages.
I got to tell you, McClintock is...
I was just going to say...
They are so open to everybody. They work with everybody.
It comes up a lot. They even... like the movie theater, when there's a new movie released, they always have this fancy drink, and it'd be McClintock, vodka or gin or whatever's in it that time. And we've heard a lot of collabs like that.
They've
it's cool.
been very, very good to work with.
Yeah.
I value the relationship. It got to the point, though, last year, we were selling out of Arbidal, and I kind of didn't project correctly. They took a third of Arbidal from us, and they distilled it. And I made that batch differently because I was looking for a certain level of acidity and a certain level of alcohol at the end so they could come up with their best product. And they tell me the batch that was made from 2022 was the best brandy they ever made. But it's about 3 years from being released. So if you can remember it, be on the lookout for it.
Nice.
It'll be a good one.
Website, email address, social media handles. Share it all with us, would you?
I know you're TikToking, aren't you?
I am not TikToking, but we're on Facebook.
Me neither.
Mazzaroth Vineyard on Facebook, Mazzaroth Vineyard on Instagram, and a newer social media page is Spoutable, Spoutible, and we're Maz Vineyard on Spoutable. Our webpage, www.mazzaroth.squarespace.com. You can reach out to us by phone call. My cell phone number is in there, and I'll talk to you directly. You can also send us messages directly there. We do ship out of state. You can order through our webpage into 38 other states. I cannot deliver directly, but I could ship. In state, for bottle minimum, you're within 50 miles of our location. We'll deliver to you complimentary.
Wow, nice. There you go. Well, thank you, Garry. This has been more than amazing to be out here and to learn. You're really educated, I think me at least, on a lot more. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Terry.
And I also love your location where you are. It's just worth coming out here and seeing the location, doing the tasting, and sitting out on your little patio out there.
Yes,
so
nice.
It's actually not a little patio, but you get the picture.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. We love sharing with others, and we hope we have an opportunity to host you here soon.
Nice.
Thanks, Garry.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
This guy, Garry Cohen, he's about as genuine as it gets. He not only shared everything about Mazzaroth Vineyards with us, then he sat us down and he poured us some wine so that we could be assured that it's the best wine we've ever had. Their website is mazzaroth.squarespace.com, and their address is 8333 Myersville Road, and that's in Middletown, Maryland, 21769. You can give them a call at 301-639-0303, and you can also email them, set up a tasting for yourself at info@mazzarothvineyard.com. You can find them on Instagram and Facebook. Both of those are Mazzaroth Vineyard. Follow and connect with us here on the Steeples and Peoples podcast by checking out our website, steeplesandpeoples.com, where we have some cool new pictures up of some of the more recent guests we've had, and every one of our episodes is up there. So we're growing that web page in leaps and bounds, I'd like to say. And we also have now opened a store up. So there's a link for that in there as well. Our store is through Fox Tree Designs. And you can go to foxtreedesigns.com and click on shop and find Steeples and Peoples podcast on there and get yourself some merch and help represent us. Like our Facebook page at Steeples & Peoples. Join our conversation on Twitter. Reach out to us on Snapchat. Both of those are Steeples Peoples. And you can also follow us on Instagram, watch our TikToks, and view some of our episodes at Steeples and Peoples. Feel free to let us know if you have any comments, questions or suggestions for future guests by emailing us at steeplesandpeoples@gmail.com. Thanks to Steve Medley for doing our voice intro and outro.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us to find out what's going on in all things Frederick County, Maryland, and Steeples and Peoples.
Live radio, local podcasts, the Frederick Podcast Network at listenfrederick.com.